I spoke to Feynman, great highlight of my life. I only spoke to him once for a few hours, and we had a wide-ranging conversation, mostly about quantum theory and computation. But we deviated a bit to talk about physics generally. And I said, you know, seems to have slowed down, and he said, there will be no more great physicists. And I was like, oh, you know, what makes you say that? You know, because I wasn't thinking like that at all. Because I was lucky enough to be among several of them and learning from them. And he said there will be no more of them. And so I said, why? And he said, well, because of physics education. And he didn't put it in exactly the way that I would today. But it was very narrow, and everybody was taught to do the same thing. I don't think he had any objection to this concept of being taught a thing, or to have a curriculum, but he thought it was becoming narrower and narrower. And the reason it's becoming narrower is because that's the only way you can base it on exams. And if you want to have a world in which most people go to university, let's say, then you need to have standards for going to university. And these standards have to be determined by exams, otherwise it's unfair. And if they're determined by exams, they have to be determined by a uniform curriculum, so across the whole country. Again, well, when I was in school, there was no national curriculum. Every school had its own curriculum. There were dozens of different examination boards that set exams, and each school could choose, you know, we'll have this board for physics and we'll have this board for history, and, you know, according to what the teachers in the school thought was a good idea to force their pupils to learn. Okay, so that part of it wasn't the way I would have it, but the state didn't take a view, and most importantly, it didn't take it didn't take a uniform view that everybody in the country had to learn this thing. And that was the thing that Feynman was objecting to, that everybody in the country learning the same thing, and by the time they get to university, and by the time they've done an undergraduate degree, they've learned to become proficient. I mean, those that pass through the sieve and eventually get to become physicists or something, they have all learned how to do the same thing in the same way. And that's going to put a damper on doing things a different way, a new way. Of course, Feynman, in his life, in his life and in his research career, he was constantly doing things in a new way, in ways that people didn't approve of. I think, well, I'm not a pessimist, so I don't think there aren't going to be any more great physicists. I'm expecting that there are, because I'm expecting that the Enlightenment will spread to educational theory, as it has spread to many other aspects of life.